Here's a new product from Cameline. This is RED test charts. That's DSC Labs, maker of Cameline books, make very accurate charts for use with different cameras and different technologies. This is a framing chart. This is all, you're looking at 2.4 to 1 aspect ratios of all the different modes on the RED cameras. You have 2K, 3K, 4K, all the way out to 5K for the upcoming Epic camera. So it's not even available yet, but this is future-proofed, if you will. And they worked with RED to design all of the charts in here. And if you can look at this, you can imagine all your different lens lengths. You can see what the cutoff would be for different the different formats in your different lenses, because you actually go inside the sensor for each one. If you would say shoot high speed, you want to go to a tighter frame so that the camera could get to higher frame rates. You can actually see what that's capable of. You also have a white background, and that is an accurate white background so that you can see where your clip point is for exposure levels, and you get a sense of exposure. You have, in addition to that, this page, which is a similar chart, but it's 18% gray. And 18% gray is an industry standard for tuning to a light meter. They're all designed to measure off a relative 18% gray exposure, and it allows you to get exposure readings for using your camera. You can also see that this has frames, and this is in the 2-to-1. All the boxes are the 2-to-1 frame that RED has available in their cameras, as well as 16:9 and 2K. The little white corners here you see are 2K, 3K, 4K, and again in 5K for the upcoming Epic cameras. That you have the 16:9, which I think is actually probably the most popular format to be shooting in, just for what most uses are. But these charts are very useful, but I think that the last chart in here is actually the most useful. This is your color alignment chart, and you have also known as the Cameline chart, which is DSC is well known for. First off, there is an exposure scale, grayscale, black to white, in many steps, and then you have all the different colors that are representing the relative color space of the camera. Now, for the most part, you do this for, say, Rec 709 or other video standards, but because the RED camera has an expanded color range of known as red space, then you have additional color swatches that are available on here that go beyond that exposure, that color space range that you would otherwise have available in the systems, in these charts. And the reason for doing that is, well, one, it future-proofs you for the camera that can see into a greater color range if you were, say, going to a film print or going to some other way of seeing the material, as opposed to just, say, a standard video finish. But also, more importantly, this is what you use as your standard. This is how you set exposure. This is how you judge color. And this is how you align cameras. So, well, on the RED camera, you can't align one camera to another, can you? Well, actually, now you can. You have the FLUT or FLUT system, and you can load a color look management file or a LUT into the camera from the post software. And the reason that you would do such a thing is that, let's say you shoot with camera number 1682 on one day, and you shoot a chart, and so you get a color reference. And then you are shooting 2 weeks later, you need to do a shot, and you're going to use camera 3482. Well, every individual camera, like all cameras in the world, is nothing against RED. It's just, like all things in the world, nothing is exactly the same thing. Every individual one has ever so slight differences, because it's actually organic materials that are used to create these things, and there's variations. And so you want to get your cameras to match perfectly. You want to get, that way you can match your shots perfectly. Let's say you're shooting with 2 cameras on the same shooter, or 5 cameras on a complicated scene or explosion or something. Or let's say you're shooting in 3D and you want to shoot both cameras and you match them, to have them match together. Or let's say they're in a beam splitter for 3D or for high dynamic range or whatever you might be doing. And going through the beam splitter, that is affecting your color. And so you then put this chart out front. You can take the signal from both cameras, take it into the file. You can actually match your two cameras together and adjust for that differences in the beam splitter. There's lots of uses. There's lots of ways to adjust. Let's say you're using the cameras for stills and you want to be able to have an accurate color management system for being able to grade the material for going into, making a billboard out of or something. They want very accurate measurements of color. This is your standard. This is an absolute industry specified standard for ways of getting your contrast, ways of getting your color, putting it onto a vector scope and aligning the thing. You know what your image truly is and you can adjust to it. And so that is what these charts are for. Printed on a high quality acrylic. Comes in a little pouch to keep it protected and available for sale from Able Cititech. DSC RED test charts.